Sally Spectra on The Bold and the Beautiful was a newer character with quite a legacy. Sally was introduced in January of 2017, played by actress Courtney Hope. Although she left the canvas in March of 2018, the redhead soon returned in June to continue getting mixed up in all the drama. Although recent developments had some viewers fearing for Sally's future on B&B, and sure enough, the actress announced she was exiting the soap in August 2020. However, in October 2020, The Young and the Restless announced that when Hope joins their soap, she will still be playing the same character. Sally was named after her great-aunt, Sally Spectra. The two women have much in common, from their red hair and fashion sense all the way down to their outsized personalities and desire to make the Spectra name famous. Sally promised her great-aunt she would bring Spectra fashions back to life, and enlisted the help of her grandmother, Shirley, as well as Saul Feinberg too and Arleta. Spectra was back in business, for a little while, anyway. John Pascal /JBstudios.com After convincing CJ Garrison not to sell the building to Bill Spencer as planned, Sally was given 6 months to prove herself. She kicked things off with a bang, starting a food fight with Steffi Forrester and filming it for a viral video, then crashed St. Forrester's wedding. Although she wasn't crazy about the plan to have her sister, Coco Spectra, work as an intern at Forrester and unwittingly wear a necklace with a camera in it to photograph and steal their designs. When Thomas Forrester invited Sally to Steffi's Australian wedding, she happily attended but balked when Shirley ordered her to take photos they could use against them. Sally was nervous about putting their stolen designs into production, but she lost faith in her own design abilities and went ahead with it. Unfortunately, she was then forced to confess to grand larceny to save Coco, and nearly went to prison until Thomas testified on her behalf at her hearing. Thomas also invested in her company to keep CJ from selling the building back to Bill so he could demolish it and build his skyscraper. Thomas also joined Sally as a designer and they created a swimwear line to compete with Forrester in Monaco. Things sure heated up when Liam and Sally got involved. Howard Wise /JBstudios.com Unaware that Bill had orchestrated the lie, Sally sadly let Thomas return to New York with Caroline and their son when she claimed to be dying. She found a shoulder to cry on in Liam Spencer, who offered more than emotional support when he took over at Spencer and offered ownership of the building back to her. Having gotten through a minor fire, Sally took out a loan and began to rebuild Spectra fashions from the ground up. When it turned out Bill still owned the building, Liam joined the Spectras for a protest and was trapped in the rubble with Sally when Bill demolished the building, believing everyone was out. Fearing they were going to die, Sally confessed she'd fallen for him and they shared a kiss. After their rescue, Sally refused Bill's attempts to make nice and was devastated when Liam reconciled with Steffi after confessing to the kiss. Thomas, having learned the truth about Caroline's deceit and Bill's part in it, returned to Los Angeles and joined Sally as one of the prime suspects when Bill was shot and nearly killed. After getting back together with Thomas, they took off, but she eventually returned to reveal that her beau had reunited with Caroline again. She and Wyatt Spencer got drunk together and started an unlikely new relationship. Even once they'd sobered up, Wyatt and Sally still enjoyed each other's company. Howard Wise /JBstudios.com Wyatt helped get Sally hired at Forrester and later tried to help her advance her career by relaunching Spectra fashions under the Spencer umbrella. Sally turned that down, and then things got even worse when Wyatt's ex, Florence Fulton, came to town and he was drawn right back to the blonde, leaving Sally single again. After Flo's part in the heartbreaking baby switch was exposed, Wyatt dumped her and went running back to Sally. She took him back and, although she wanted to take things slow, accepted when he proposed to her. Things were going okay until Sally accidentally called Wyatt by Liam's name, which made him question her feelings for him, and Redhead was doing fine at Forrester until her sketches for the fashion show disappointed Ridge and Steffi, and her fears over being fired led to a full-on panic attack. After Wyatt dumped her to go back to Flo, Sally confronted the blonde, which led to her feeling lightheaded and shaking uncontrollably. Concerned, she went to the hospital for tests where she ran into Katie Logan. Sally confided her fears to Katie, who was there when she received the devastating diagnosis. Informed she didn't have long to live, Sally broke down, but Katie urged her not to give up and get a second opinion to fight for her life. Although Sally asked Katie not to tell anyone, she quickly told Bill and Wyatt and later Ridge and Steffi so they wouldn't fire the dying woman. Sally was also relieved when Wyatt came back to her, claiming problems with Flo, not realizing that Flo had urged him to make Sally's remaining days as happy as possible. When Dr. Escobar tried to contact Sally to tell her she was handling her situation all wrong, the redhead dismissed her. Dr. Escobar didn't want to stand by and let Sally continue lying to Wyatt. HowardWise/JPStudios.com. When Sally finally admitted to Wyatt that she was dying, she realized that Katie had already told him, but after Drive, Escobar made a house call to talk to her patient, it was revealed that the entire thing was all an elaborate charade Sally had concocted to get Wyatt back. The doc has tried to insist Sally come clean, but the redhead refuses to stop until she gets Wyatt away from Flo. Sally continued to try and sink her claws into Wyatt, but when Flo discovered the truth, the redhead panicked. After Drive, Escobar knocked Flo out to keep her from telling Wyatt the truth. Sally tried tying her up in her apartment so she could seduce Wyatt and get pregnant with his child, tying them together forever. But during a struggle, Sally fell and was knocked unconscious just long enough for Flo to write "help me" on her underwear, so when Sally tried to strip down for Wyatt, the jig was up. As her plan collapsed around her, Sally tried to explain her motives to Wyatt and beg forgiveness, but then suddenly collapsed. Rushed to the hospital, Sally was diagnosed with severe stress and attempted to persuade Wyatt to forgive her. He agreed not to press criminal charges but urged her to go away. HowardWise/JPStudios.com. In November 2020, Sally relocated to Genoa City where she hoped to land a big job at Jawboat, but had to settle for working as Lauren Fenmore's assistant. She found a new partner in crime in Theo Vanderway, and they tried to help each other get ahead with the Abbott family. Sally clashed with Kyle Abbott and especially Summer Newman, but soon found herself growing close with Jack Abbott. Summer and Kyle went to LA to dig up dirt on Sally's past, but she was armed with Theo's information about Kyle's affair with a married woman in NYC, so the rivals reached a stalemate. But Summer's mother, Phyllis Summers, had it out for Sally as well, and warned Jack to stay away from her. Fearing someone else would reveal her scandalous past, Sally finally came clean to Jack, who naturally put the brakes on their budding relationship. Determined to get Summer out of town, Sally spoke with Ashland Locke and offered him information in exchange for him helping to get Summer a job at an Italian fashion house. Unfortunately, the man who was to make the decision about that job turned out to be Eric Forrester. Stay tuned to Y&R to see how her story continues. Ad block test: why